right, we're following this breaking political news out of British Columbia. The leader of the provincial Conservative Party there, John Rustad, has resigned. The move coming just hours after he first refused to quit in the face of a mutiny by a majority of his team.
I talked to many of my supporters. I talked to the core people that have been around me, talked to my wife. They all encouraged me to carry on with this fight. But in order to do that would be the creation of a civil war within the Conservative Party of British Columbia. And that is not in the interest of this party, it's not in the interest of our members, and I don't think it's the interest of British Columbia. And so I was not prepared to go forward and have that civil war and drive that divide, because I believe strongly that we need that common sense change in British Columbia, and there's only one way to deliver that.
Well, the party has been engulfed in a huge internal fight for a while now. The BC Conservatives are a coalition. You've got those on the right, those on the centre right. It's not always easy to manage. 20 Conservative MLAs gave statements to a lawyer there saying it was time for Rustad to go. The party then issued a news release saying Rustad had been, quote, professionally incapacitated and therefore removed. He disagreed until he didn't disagree. The calculus clearly changed, and he announced a couple of hours ago he's leaving. Rustad led the Conservatives to win 44 seats and become the official opposition in October of last year, but they almost won that election. Came very close. The NDP managed to squeak by. Critics within his own party and beyond said some of his controversial comments and views had cost the party the election. He was leader for 2.5 years. Now they will have to choose a new leader. Let's bring in Hamish Telford, political analyst, with his take on this. Good to see you. Appreciate you taking the time for us today.
You're welcome, Todd. Good afternoon.
Yeah, you're coming to us from Abbotsford in BC. I want to get your reaction to this resignation. Surprised or not?
No, I'm not surprised. This has been a long time in the making. John Rustad inherited the BC Conservative Party, brought it back from the brink, as you say, very nearly won the election. But when he came up short, the divisions in the party started to manifest themselves almost immediately. It's always been difficult to unite the right in British Columbia, but it's especially difficult now. John Rustad really didn't have the skill set. He couldn't find the formula to hold this very disparate group of people together. And, you know, he's finally been ousted.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting that he came so close but was unable to actually win over David Eby, and so the NDP managed, as I said earlier, to sort of just very, you know, in a very small way squeak by and hold on to power after being in power for quite a while. What does this do, do you think, to the landscape politically in British Columbia? Because now there will be a new leader coming in. What will that mean?
Well, for the next few months, there will be an interim leader, and that means the BC Conservative Party will be in no hurry to cause an election if the opportunity arises. The leadership races can be, in and of themselves, very divisive. As I say, this is a party with a number of different ideological factions with their own different causes. And it may be difficult for the party to find a consensus leader to pull them all together. And in which case, a leadership race might further divide the party, cause some people to leave. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out next year. If
Rustad was seen as a weak leader who divided his party, wasn't able to sort of unite them, I wonder whether a new leader might be able to do that. You know, how much do you think of this is laid at the feet of Rustad and his leadership abilities?
I think some of the blame lies there. His skill set as a leader perhaps was not as robust as it wasn't as robust as was necessary, but he also had a very difficult task. As I say, this is an unruly bunch of people to lead, and the old formula for uniting the right has broken down. Liberals and Conservatives used to unite around economic and fiscal policy because they didn't like NDP economic and fiscal policy. But nowadays, a number of Conservatives are not animated by economic concerns. They're more animated by social concerns, indeed engaging in what we might call the culture wars. So the old formula for uniting the right has broken down. A new leader is going to have to find a new formula that brings them together. And whether that formula can actually be found is not clear to me. It might be that the party has to sort of cut loose some of the people on the fringes.
The NDP, of course, are in power with a slim majority. I wonder, still 3 years, give or take, until the next provincial election. But what does this mean for the NDP, that the Conservatives will now have a new leader coming in next year?
In the short term, for the next legislative session, which starts in February, it gives the NDP pretty free passage, although their majority is very precarious, as you say. New reports in the last day or two of another member with health concerns, making the margin of difference potentially even smaller. But it should clear the way. As I say, the Conservatives are not in any rush to have an election. The NDP will have to wait and see if a new leader is able to bring the Conservatives together and make them a more formidable opposition than what they have been facing for the past year, or whether this party further divides itself.
Hamish Telford joining us from Abbotsford in British Columbia, political analyst, with his take on this huge earthquake, politically anyway, for the Conservatives, as John Rustad is out after bringing the party from oblivion all the way up to almost winning the election last year. Now he is gone as leader. Thanks for this, Hamish. Good to see you.
You're welcome, Todd.